Judy Young, CEO of College Excellence, and I'm a college admissions consultant. Today, we're going to be giving you tips and tricks on how to apply successfully to those highly selective colleges. How do admissions readers in colleges distinguish between students' real passion and where it's just pressure coming from parents? And I can tell you, as an Ivy League interviewer, you could definitely tell the difference between those two. Admissions officers can usually tell who is driving the application, and I did see this a lot myself. The student voice needs to be authentic, and it should sound consistent across essays and, as I said, in interviews, because I did see this a lot. And genuine passion shows through ownership and initiative. And you can feel it in the essays, and you can definitely tell when a student's talking whether they feel passionate or not. It does come across. So overly polished language, that can definitely signal that it's not your true voice, because they know kids your age don't talk like that. So it's very important to keep it in your own voice. And activities should reflect your real student interest, not your parents or agendas or someone else in your life. And it does show if it's by somebody not your age, I promise you. Applications are strongest when students can clearly own their own story. So very important to tell your own story in your own voice. What should students do if they feel that they're behind their classmates compared to what they see online or on Reddit? Online comparisons just rarely show the full picture, so you definitely shouldn't count on that. And social media, of course, highlights extremes. People are going to put out their best days out there. They're not necessarily reflecting reality, so you should keep that in mind. And every student's timeline and context is different, so you should definitely focus on your own race and your own lane. And feeling behind doesn't mean that you're necessarily unprepared. Focus on your own progress and be intentional about your next steps in getting towards your goal. College admissions is not a race, it's a strategy for reaching your goals. How do I help students build confidence in their story before they start writing the essays? That is so important. Strong essays start with your own sense of confidence. It doesn't begin when you start writing. I help students to clarify their direction so they understand where they're going and think about what their strengths are that need to come through in the application. And that's something we work on, certainly with the essays. And that self-reflection absolutely comes before you put pen to paper and start drafting an essay. Your confidence grows when, as a student, you understand your own value in this application process and understand what you can contribute to the university. Clear stories really reduces stress and the pressure you might feel during the writing process. When students believe in their own story, the writing becomes much easier because they're talking about a subject they understand and telling you about themselves, which is what colleges are looking for. What parts of the application process are most misunderstood by students and families? A lot of the stress in college admissions comes from not quite understanding the process or how it works or what's important. Families often don't understand holistic reviews, I find. Essays, for example, are about insight. They're trying to understand more about you as a student. Who are you? So they're not looking for perfection. They're just looking to understand who you are and what you're bringing to the table and what are you hoping for through your college process and through attending their college. Timing and planning matter far more than a last-minute effort. That's super important. So important to start early so you have time to be strategic and plan out your process. Financial aid as well is far more complicated than many people expect, especially because we all come from different family backgrounds. Understanding the entire admissions process leads to much calmer, more thoughtful decisions as you go through the process. When does working with a private admissions coach like me make the biggest difference in terms of your application process? Guidance really matters most when strategy matters, when that's going to make a difference in your application process. Early planning absolutely helps students to understand where they're headed, what's going to be required, and that avoids missteps in the process. Competitive college admissions require very intentional positioning, so you're clear on what your goals are, what steps you're going to take to get there, how everything aligns and fits together, which you heard me talk about before. Complex student profiles absolutely can benefit from expert guidance so the most important points come across clearly in your application process. Coaching gives you clarity. It builds structure into what you're presenting, and it gives accountability in the process. Very, very important. The right guidance can turn your effort into strategy, and that's what you need to win with this process. Do you need help? Give us a call, 713-333-9359, or you can email us, jyoung@collegeexcellence.com.